Title: Catnap. Written by Alaska's Monsters. The train ride back was quiet. You had not expected it any different. After a year of being the manager of the boys' volleyball club of Nekoma, you'd grown quite accustomed to the atmosphere after the team had a game. Practice game or not, it was still the same. You wouldn't really expect it when you were looking from the outside. The boys seeming most energetic, even boisterous at some times, but after a game, they turn into the most peaceful, quiet group of absolute angels. After they've been burned off their energy and the adrenaline from the match wore off, not even a can of coffee would be able to keep them awake and up. Speaking of that, most of the boys were actually deeply asleep, partly leaning against each other or a window, as they snored quietly. You thought you saw Yaku drooling in his sleep, and you smiled at how cute your boys could be. They were almost endearing like this, especially Yamamoto, who when awake was hard to keep in line, but now he was cuddled up against his back, looking adorable. The only people still awake beside yourself were the coaches and your best friends, Kenma and Kuro. The former was sitting in the seat next to yours and still playing Zelda on his PSP, while Kuro was slumped in his seat across from you, leaning heavily on his arms, his tired eyes scanning over the rest of his teammates. You knew it wouldn't be long until Kuro was asleep too, but for some reason, maybe because he thought it was his responsibility as the captain, he would always fall asleep last, after he ensured everyone else was already relaxed. Kuro looked content, a little too much like his thoughts had drifted off to his old man mental state, which was how he referred to the state he'd be in whenever he was talking about the youth game. His eyes finally landed on you, drifting off to Kenma automatically, and then suddenly, a smirk made its way onto his face, his eyes gleaming with something you'd never seen before, and it scared you a little because what the hell was he thinking now? You were just about to scold him for staring so creepily and ask him what he was finding so funny when you felt a weight on your left shoulder, one that has not been there before. You flinched in surprise, head turning to find bleached hair way closer than just a few seconds ago, close enough to tickle your nose if you were to turn your hair a little more. The thought made heat curl up to your face until you were sure you were just as red as the damn volleyball uniform. Kenmo was so close you could smell his shampoo, apple scent. Cute. The realization that Kenma had fallen asleep, hitting you way too late, but to be fair, you had not expected him to be attacked like this out of nowhere. Head resting on your shoulder and PSP limp in his grip made your stomach churn with something you couldn't quite describe. You didn't dare move, body frozen up and arms hanging by your side quite unnaturally as you carefully glanced at the blonde hair out of the corner of your eye. Soft breathing indicating that despite your rapid heartbeat and nervousness, Kenma was still deep asleep. Kuro chuckled quietly, clearly amused by how shell-shocked you were about Kenma's sudden proximity. You glared at him, but didn't think it looked all too intimidating with your cheeks all flushed and your rigid posture. Truth was, you perhaps harbored some certain feelings for Nekoma's setter. You'd never acted on them in fear of ruining your friendship. Tried to hide them away as best as you could. Kuro was aware of them, of course. He was a little too observant for your liking. But he had pinky promised to not even hint it around Kenma. It was already both blessing and curse to spend so much more time with Kenma due to you being Nekoma's manager. Something Kuro, that absolute heathen, had smooth talked you into. But now that Kenma was taking a nap on your shoulder, you would never get over your little crush now, would you? Not when the little butterflies in your stomach were going absolute crazy over how sweet his hair smelled like, and how calm and relaxed he was while leaning against you. You were doomed. But thinking about it, having Kenma, an introverted gamer boy, as a maybe future boyfriend, was too good of a dream to ever let go of anyway. You let out a silent sigh in defeat and tried relaxing a little more with your weight pressing against your side, sinking lower into the leather of the seat to make yourself and Kenma more comfortable. Out of the corner of your eye, you caught a glimpse of Kenma's PSP screen, with his avatar standing in the middle of a field. Knowing Kenma, he'd be upset if he woke up later and realized his game hadn't been saved. So you quickly reached over, carefully to not disturb the boy, and pressed a combination of buttons that would save his current progress before shutting the PSP off. You listened for a second, making sure Kenma's breathing was still relaxed before letting yourself sink back into your seat. You tried to ignore Kuro's amused eyes on you and the phone camera he was currently pointing at you. When you sent him a disapproving glare, he mouthed, "For the wedding card," to you, And that is when you decided to give up faith completely. That Hidden would ever stop teasing you about your crush on Kenma. The rest of the train ride was surprisingly short. You spent it with your head leaned against the window, as you grew quite exhausted too, thoughts about the blonde swirling through your mind constantly. Kenma's weight against you a constant reminder of your proximity. When it was time to get off, the coaches and Kuro took it upon themselves to help wake up the boys one by one, leaving you to deal with Kanma, which made sense since he was sleeping on you. But how could they expect you to have the strength to withstand the warmth of his body and the smell of his hair? You were weak. Kuro raised an eyebrow at you when he saw your hand helplessly hanging in between you and Kenma, silently judging you for a moment before he took the waking up upon himself. Hey Kenma, get up! We're getting off the next station! You glared at the captain for being so rude, but quickly froze up again when you felt Kenma shift against your shoulder. A quiet grumble was heard before the boy slowly straightened up, before he started glancing around, looking a little disoriented. His eyes fell on you almost immediately and he looked a little taken back by your close proximity. Lowering his head, you saw him slowly piece together what had happened and recognized a certain look of clarity when he seemed to realize he must have fallen asleep against you. Oh, he mumbled quietly. His cheeks a light pink. Sorry. You smiled at him, feeling very awkward, but tried your best to hide it. Oh, it's fine. I saved your game, just so you know. He looked confused for a moment, rubbing his eyes and looking down at the turned-off console in his hand, before he seemed to catch up what you were saying. Kenma wasn't usually very approachable after he'd taken a nap. Oh, he mumbled again, and your smile widened a little bit at how adorable he was. Thank you. You hummed softly in reply, turning to grab your stuff when the train slowly came to a halt, and it was time to get off and head back towards school. The coaches signaled for everyone to gather together and you followed. Kenma joined you at the door, yawning as the team started exiting the train compartment slowly, shoulders slumped for tiredness. Kuro appeared next to the two of you with a wide grin, creepily energetic for not having slept at all during the time you were stuck in a train. He gave you a wink, a wide grin spreading on his face as he turned towards Kenma. With a teasing glint in his eyes, you were already fearing the worst but were too late to stop him from opening his mouth and saying the words he'd already prepared. How did you sleep, Kenma? Were you comfortable? You already opened your mouth to tell Kuro to shut up already, but Kenma was faster. Yeah, I was. I slept well. You felt the heat rise to your cheeks again, staring at the side of Kenma's face that was hidden by his hair, glad he wasn't looking at you at the moment. Kuro hummed, looking very satisfied with himself before shifting his attention towards the road ahead. You tried to calm yourself down, hands fidgeting as you glanced at Kenma from time to time, not expecting to have him staring back at you suddenly. You flinched a little in surprise, but Kenma only smiled faintly at your reaction, looking just slightly awkward as he considered what to say, because he looked like he meant to say something. I mean it. I was very comfortable. Your brain scratched to a halt and a surprised squeal left your lips, one that had you clasping your mouth in embarrassment the very next second. Kenma didn't look quite as put off by your action as you would have expected. He held your gaze for a moment longer, still smiling before he turned toward the rest of the group again, leaving you with whirling thoughts and a racing heart in your chest behind.